Football on Off the Ball.
With Sky. Come on, you girls in green. Good luck to the Ireland women's football team in their upcoming World Cup qualifiers.
Yes, it is Thursday night football at Tallaght Stadium. If welcome along, it is absolutely freezing cold here ahead of this World Cup qualifier between the Republic of Ireland and Slovakia. I have to say, we are tucked away in a very nice warm studio though, so don't feel too much sympathy. And I'm delighted to say we're joined in studio by the former Republic of Ireland internationals Dora Gorman and Emma Byrne. Good evening to you.
Good evening.
And you're welcome. It is toasty in here, isn't it? It's freezing outside though. I'd hate to be going outdoor later on for full commentary out in the stand.
I don't mind. I have my coat, my scarf, my gloves. I'm prepared. I'm ready.
You two were reminiscing there. You were in camp together for 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, for quite a while. Yeah. Yeah. She was one of the babies, though.
Is that right?
I was still the granny of the team. The granny for 5 years. But yeah, we were just catching up. Yeah.
We should take stock on things before we come in, and the team news is in, and just to let everybody know, the top line of that is it's the same team from the previous 2 matches, and we'll get a bit more detail on that and on. But in terms of taking stock, when we were sat here a few weeks ago, Emma, and the disappointment, I suppose, in some regards, obviously in relation to the Sweden result, and then obviously what followed. We're in a great position, really. 3 points from the opening couple of games.
No, absolutely, and that was definitely the goal at the start of the campaign. I think we kind of, we'd taken that the fact we were going to drop points to Sweden, going to lose against them. Probably if we could get a draw, it would have been amazing. But it's going as planned as far as I'm concerned. And, they've got 2 games in the next couple of weeks. If they win both of those games, they're going to be sitting second in the table, which is fantastic.
We could have got back into that Sweden game, Dora, and we could have got a heroic draw out of it, but it all would have been for nothing if we hadn't done the job in Helsinki.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think in the last campaign as well, Vera has been saying she's been targeting second place. I mean, we can always try and get points off Sweden, but, the Finland game was always the biggest game of those 2. And to go away from home and to actually get the win and get the 3 points was just a fantastic start. I mean, in the past, we've had fantastic performances, but sometimes we haven't gotten the results to go with them against the bigger teams. So to get those 3 points and to get the points on the board, it just gives us a springboard to push on now for the next few games.
Yeah, the positivity around it is huge all of a sudden, isn't it? Because there was so many question marks before the Australia game, for example, about what direction the team were headed, some of the selection issues, but it feels like as if there's a huge amount of momentum almost now behind this team.
Yeah, absolutely, and you can feel it. The girls are confident, which is something I don't think we've ever really had before. There's a lot of confidence. And more importantly, we have match winners. There's players on that pitch that can win a game, that can score goals. And we're pushing forward, we're attacking teams, which is fantastic to see. Because a lot of the times we sit back and we kind of wait for them to put pressure on us. But the last couple of games that we were watching, Ireland have come out and they've wanted to play on the front foot and they've attacked the opposition, which I think is really, really promising.
And the results obviously also open up the possibilities, Dora, in terms of what you mentioned about, we're targeting second place, but it really does open up the possibilities of what we might achieve now in this group.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you always have to get points on the board. People can look forward to games that are in the, and just take for a given you'll get points off Georgia and Slovakia, but actually getting the points there and getting up the table is the main thing. And I suppose Finland and Sweden are due to play. We'll see what comes out with that. Anyone can drop points at any stage. So I think, looking back at the Sweden game as well, we could have gotten points from that. We really put it up to them, and that gives great confidence going forward. So I think, it's a very exciting time. It's exciting group. It's exciting. The group, like Emma said, there's a real positivity around the group as well. So I think going into these games, these are big games now. These 2 this week and next week, just to get those 6 points, and that'll really put us into a good position going into the new year.
And we will come to looking at those games in a bit more detail in a minute, but we should mention as well, we did say we're here at Tallaght Stadium. We did say it's freezing cold. If you're watching any of the way down, make sure you get the hats on and the scarves on. And we are here with thanks to Sky as well, proud primary partner and supporter of the Republic of Ireland women's national football team. And we should say as well that it's a sellout. It's the entire ground is open. All tickets have been sold. A record attendance. Like when you talk about that momentum behind it, I know the next couple of games are going to be very important in that regard, but at this exact moment in time, Emma, this is, and your own history obviously with the team, you'll be acutely aware, better place than anybody else in the country to talk about it, the significance tonight of a full stadium here.
Absolutely, and we talk about the team being in a better place and the positivity, but that comes from the crowd. And if they're selling all the seats here in the stadium, the team can feel the support behind them, and that gives them the extra boost as well. And it's it's something that we've always wanted here in Tallaght. We've always had good support, but it's just built and built over the last few years, and you can hear the the support in the stand, and that really does give the players a boost. And I think it's building and building. It's a shame that we can't extend it even more, because if it's a sellout, perhaps we could push more seats. And it's just fantastic. We want to make this our fortress. We want to make this a difficult place to come and play, and not just because the players are difficult to beat, but because the crowd is behind the players, which is always kind of intimidating for the opposition.
And is that, like, it's the 25th game, I think, here over the last, 10 or 11 years. Is that familiarity for the players? Is that a real tangible thing?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's really important for the players to feel comfortable in their home pitch, and it's important for them to play, in a pitch that they are getting used to. So obviously you want to play every game there. I mean, there has been talk about playing in the Aviva Stadium, which obviously would be amazing, because it's on the equal part to the men and it's a fantastic stadium and things like that. But me personally, I prefer to play on a pitch that I'm very comfortable on, that I've played a million times over, that I know is my pitch, my ground. So I think that I speak for the girls as well. I think they like playing here. They're comfortable here. They know every blade of grass here, and it's just our home.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think in the past, up to a few years ago, when the team had moved around, played games down in Cork, played in Bray, played around the country. I suppose that grows it around and does spread it around the country. But over the last few years, when they made the decision to make here the home, like Emma was saying, you really do build that fortress and build that kind of intimidation for teams coming. And that familiarity just really helps players. You're coming, you know the place. There's no last minute changes or kind of confusion when you get to the ground. So I think that definitely helps. And I mean, having a sellout, like we said, it's fantastic. I mean, a few years ago, we wouldn't have imagined that really, and now the thoughts that we're outgrowing Tallaght is fantastic for the women's game.
Does that still apply if they get to the end of all of this and there's a playoff against God knows who, right? But let's say England or whoever it is a really high-profile game and all the event junkies are on board and everybody wants to go to it. Does that still apply? Do you hold the line there, or do you think maybe
personally, I mean, speaking personally here, I would not want to play in another pitch, particularly if I've got to playoffs, because this is how I got here, playing on this pitch. And I remember when Arsenal got to the Champions League final, they wanted to play it in Highbury, it was at the time. That's how long ago it was. And when we didn't want to play there. We wanted to play in Borehamwood. This was our little pitch. It was a tiny stadium. It was absolutely packed, because it's what we're used to. And I mean, some of the players might be like, no, I want to play in Aviva, which, absolutely fine. But for me personally, I want to play in the pitch that we're used to, our home ground, our back garden, and let the team come to us.
Yeah, no, I agree as well. I think I've played in the Aviva in a cup final, and I mean, it's a fantastic occasion and fantastic place to be, but there's nothing better than a full stadium and the crowd there, and if you have a half-empty stadium or a quarter full, you don't get that atmosphere, especially for a big game. If it was a playoff, and for the crowds, that could be the difference, if you have a crowd behind you, and you want that atmosphere there. But each player to their own. I mean, if we got there, we'd have that conversation. But
they've actually made the pitch a little bit narrower. When we were playing here at our game, I just felt the pitch was absolutely huge. It really was. And when we were playing a team like Russia, for example, I remember they liked to play very wide, and it was really difficult for us to cover the spaces. And they were so quick and powerful. So they've actually made it a little bit smaller to suit the way we play. And that's difficult for teams to come play in a narrower pitch as well. Even against the likes of the opposition tonight, there's no sense in keeping a bit more width to it? No, absolutely. I mean, when you're going into a game and you're the favourites, obviously you want to have lots of space, and the bigger the better, to be quite honest. But realistically, because we haven't qualified for a tournament, and realistically we're constantly fighting for that, and we're playing against teams that's better than us, we want to play them on a smaller pitch. Okay. All right. Well, we'll see how it pans out tonight. You can see the grass markings where it has been sort of cut in a little bit, all right. And the crowd are starting to come in here. As I said, it's a freezing cold Tallaght Stadium. It's a 7 o'clock start for the Republic of Ireland against Slovakia in this latest World Cup qualifier. The game will be fully live on Off the Ball on News Talk tonight from 7. Emma's going to be alongside Nathan in the commentary box, and he's going to be with us in a couple of minutes' time to run us down on that team news. As I said, unchanged from the previous couple of matches. Before we get into the full-on preview of the games, in terms of taking stock as to where we're at and the mindset of this team, Slovakia and Georgia, obviously the two games upcoming, the two weakest opponents, I guess, in the group. And you could understand why
the players would begin against Sweden and then the follow-up game in Helsinki, and how easy it is to get up for those sort of games. What about the mental challenge now of getting yourself back and dialed into the two weakest teams in the group?
Well, I think personally it's more difficult, to be quite honest. I think Finland was a massive game, probably the biggest game of the qualifiers. But now the pressure's on us, the pressure's on Ireland to maintain that form, and they really should be beating this team. If they don't get 3 points here today, it's a massive problem for them. So that's a lot of pressure on the players. It's also a place that we're not really used to being in. We're used to being the underdog and having to scrap for points. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how they set up tonight, because they will have to play attacking football. We're used to seeing them soak up the pressure and maybe play counter-attacking style. They're going to have much more possession tonight than they usually have. We'll see how they work with that, if they push the fullbacks forward. You know, we want to see KE playing higher up the pitch. And you know, it's just a different position for them to be in, to have that pressure on them. And realistically, they should be getting 6 points in the next 2 weeks. And that, again, is pressure for them to do, especially tonight. Slovakia aren't an easy team to beat.
Yeah. The Katie slot is coming up later on, obviously. That's just going to be a staple of this
talk about
chat.
her later.
Yeah. Higher up the pitch, I've written that down. We're going to come back to that. A quick word. We're going to hear from Nathan's been out during at the camp this week, and he's been talking to Savannah McCarthy, and we're going to hear from that in just a second. But before we do that, he'll be in with the team news afterwards. I did want to talk to you because I know you were speaking very glowingly about her the last time when we were sat here a few weeks ago, and the role that she's part of the chat. They're talking about being an overnight success over the course of 7 years. She's really finding her feet now at international level.
Yeah, sorry, who?
Savannah McCarthy. Who are we talking about?
I'm worried.
Just Katie
McCabe. Savannah, yes. I mean, Savannah started with us, like and she was like a real kid coming into the team, but she always had that confidence and really impressive. She came in at like 16 and she was bossing everybody about, and I'm thinking, I'm bossy, you're bossy. This might be a bit of a fight. But no, she was brilliant, and she's really good at organising. She's a confident player. She's left-footed, which is a massive advantage for us, having a left-sided defender. And she's just growing and growing, and she's worked a lot on her fitness and her pace, and you can see that. She's a tough tackler again, which we love to see. And it's great to see her back in, because she was kind of forgotten about for a little while, which was it was a little bit sad, really, because she was one of the top players here in Ireland. So it's great to see her back in, and she really does deserve it, and I think she'd be up for any challenge you give her.
Like gives Katie a bit of comfort, maybe? Is that too much of an extension, that Katie's brilliant displays are in part to do with Savannah's form?
I mean, I think Savannah, she does add great balance to that back three, and I think, you know, going straight into the starting lineup from having not played in a number of years was difficult, but she sat right in there, and she fit in straight away, and like Emma said, she's not afraid of anything. She'll take on any opponent, and she's really, this season, she's just gone from strength to strength, really, as the season's gone on. She's always had the talent, and she's always had that kind of aggression and that ability, but she's gotten very fit, she's very strong, she's just, you know, she's sharp, she's tackling, she's reading the game very well. She's been really, really solid the last couple of games that she's played, and I think having that left-sided of the back three, that does kind of give a little bit more room, I guess, for Katie to get forward. It gives a bit more balance to that side, and
really
I think she's been really, really good, and I think it's a great example to show for people who have been out and who have been injured and gone kind of off the boil a little bit for whatever reason. It just shows if you work hard, you do the work behind the scenes, then you'll get your chance. And
absolutely, yeah.
All right. Well, we are here with thanks to Sky, proud primary partner and supporter of the Republic of Ireland women's national football team. Just under an hour now to go before a kick-off air between the Republic of Ireland and Slovakia. The latest stop, round 3 of the World Cup qualifiers, in a crucial game at home here tonight in front of a packed and a record attendance as well. Full live commentary with Emma and Nathan coming your way from 7 o'clock. Nathan's going to join us in the studio to recap the team news unchanged tonight for this game. Nathan will talk us through all of that. Before all of that, he's been out and about talking to Savannah McCarthy.
Well, Savannah, the international games seem to be coming as quickly as the club games at the moment. It must be like you've just left camp and you're back in again.
Yeah, I suppose we were last in 3 weeks ago, and then obviously leaving and going back in with our club and playing games. But delighted to be back in.
It must mean as well it's a lot easier to keep the momentum and the buzz of the games and the performances against Sweden and the victory against Finland, that actually it's not that long gap where you're wondering, are we still going to feel the confidence that actually you walk in and it's quite easy?
Yeah, definitely. I suppose it's a quick turnaround. yeah, but I suppose we're coming off of a victory against Finland away from home, so we'll be looking to bring that into the next 2 games.
Very different type of games you'd expect. Everyone at the start of this campaign thought that Sweden would probably be the likely group winners, and then it's between the Republic of Ireland and Finland. It comes down then to making sure you win these games. Have you spoken about that and maybe the attitude change that's needed for these 2 matches to make sure that you come away with the 6 points?
Yeah, I suppose for us it's just taking game by game. So yeah, all eyes are on Slovakia. We're going to try to get the 3 points, but we don't underestimate them. They're a good team, and yeah, they're quick and they try to get you on the counter. So yeah, we're looking forward to it.
Yeah. For you personally, you must be absolutely loving life around the camp now. It's one of those a lifetime's work to become an overnight sensation. I think it's 7 years since you were first called into a senior squad under Sue Ronan, and now you're firmly establishing yourself in that defence.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I suppose it took a lot of hard work, and I suppose injuries on the way didn't help that. But I'm just delighted to be this season. I suppose my main aim was to just be playing well with Galway and training well and hoping to get the opportunity, and I did, and I'm just trying to grab it with both hands.
What has changed then over the last couple of years? Is it simply fitness and being able to get a run of games together, or has there been a mentality change? Have you changed the way you approach the game?
For me, it was just obviously get my fitness right and doing the stuff off the pitch as well as on the pitch. Yeah, so it's been a calibre of just everything. But yeah, I suppose.
What sort of things do you do differently now off the pitch compared to maybe 4 or 5 years ago?
I'm working on my fitness. Obviously, I've been in training with boys and doing the extra bits in the gym and stuff like that. And yeah, just to be training well with Galway, and yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, and being in that Irish defence alongside Niamh Fahey and Louise Quinn, you couldn't ask for 2 more experienced players to be in alongside. Have you been able to tap into that experience off the pitch? Do you sit and have conversations about what they've been through and what you can learn and bring it out onto the pitch?
Yeah, the girls have been fantastic. Louise, Niamh, Anya, Katie, I could honestly go through the whole team. They've been great. They've been great to me since I came in, and yeah, I'm privileged to be in a team with them.
That match against Sweden, even though it didn't ultimately go the way you would have wanted, for you personally to go up against some of the very best players in the world, the very best attacking talent in the world, and to play as well as you did and as the team did, can you talk about the confidence you take from that?
Yeah, it was a massive game. They're a fantastic team. They've a lot of great players. Yeah, so it was tough. A lot of defending. But yeah, listen, these are the games you want to be playing. Yeah, so I was delighted to be part of it.
Yeah. Do you have to look back in a game like that then and take a lot? Because obviously there's a big difference in a step up to playing a team against Sweden to what you have week in, week out, and actually getting yourself into the mindset of I need to perform at that level week in, week out.
For me, it was just being literally playing well. When I get the chance to take it, and yeah, to be playing was great. But I suppose starting in training, doing well, and yeah, getting the opportunity.
It's been an interesting couple of weeks domestically. Yesterday, the cup final, I know you were there watching on, and then the week before that, obviously the most dramatic finale for a season. How's it been between the Galway players, the Shells players, and the Peamount players in camp?
No, I mean it's been good. I suppose you had the Shelburne girls thanking you. Then obviously for Peamount, they were unfortunately not to win the league, but listen, they're a fantastic team.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they'll go again next year. But for us, at Galway, it's been, I suppose, up and down season. But yeah, but it was just nice to finish the season on a high.
And a lot you can take from that. I suppose, as you say, an up and down season, in one sense you can look at a performance like that and think, you know, we're very much heading in the right direction. At the same time, you probably think, God, if we could have played like that more often during the season, it could have been a very different season.
Yeah, I suppose for us it's just making it consistent and doing it week in, week out. Yeah, so listen, we'll try to build on that and bring it into next season and hopefully make the league interesting.
It does seem as though things are going in the right direction at Galway now, the appointment of Ruth Fahey, that there is a proper focus on that women's team.
Yeah, listen, Galway's been great on and off the pitch for me personally. But yeah, like I said, Ruth become the CEO. It's massive. It's massive for the club, and yeah, the club is going in the right direction.
In terms of working with Vera Pauw then, and the faith that she has shown in you and putting you in for those massive games, what sort of work does she do with you off the pitch to make sure that you're ready for the big occasions?
No, listen, she's been great to me since I first came in for that home base session. She's been fantastic, and I suppose she's been great off the pitch as well with me, just talking and guiding me through the games and the training sessions.
There's a possibility of full house over the next week in Tallaght for the 2 games. It's going to be fully open for the first time in quite a while. For you and getting all the family there and everybody who's probably been watching from far, some who maybe haven't been able to go to the amount of games, what does that mean?
Listen, it's massive. These are the moments you live for, and I suppose getting the fans have been great. We've seen them against Australia and against Sweden. They're really like our 12th man. So we'll be hoping for a full house, and hopefully they can be cheering us on from the sidelines.
Just over 50 minutes now to the kickoff here at the Tallaght Stadium. The Republic of Ireland up against Slovakia in the World Cup qualifiers. Savannah McCarthy in conversation with Nathan at the press conference during the week. Latest score, Sweden 1, Finland 1. Sweden took the lead after 11 minutes and then an equaliser from Finland after half an hour, so very much in the mix. We're here with Dora Gorman and Emma Byrne, and Nathan has joined us in from the cold. How are you, Nathan?
How are you?
You're freezing, are you?
You're on your way to Tallaght. Put on several more layers. It is the coldest night I ever remember.
Bring us a heater as well.
I was thinking of a nice little lap blanket, and I forgot to bring it walking out the door. So you're on your own, Emma.
Oh, he's just pled to everyone. Bring a lap blanket.
Is anyone on the way? Ireland legend looking for a lap blanket. She'll give it back right after kickoff.
Of course they
right after
will.
full time. Yeah, definitely.
Right, the team news has been in a little bit and it's unchanged.
Unchanged, yeah. Same 11 again. So Courtney Brosnan continues in goals. It looks as though it's going to be the back 5 once again, with Niamh Fahey, Louise Quinn, and Savannah McCarthy, Anya Gorman, and Katie McCabe as the wing backs. Then we will have Jamie Finn, Megan Connolly and Denise O'Sullivan in midfield, and Lucy Quinn playing just behind Heather Payne. So unchanged for 3 games in a row now, which is, I guess, the consistency you want in selection. The interesting thing is that Ireland are expected to have far more possession tonight than when they played at the exact same system against Sweden and Finland. And does that 3 at the back suddenly enable Katie McCabe to play in a far more advanced position than we saw her, particularly here against Sweden, where I know, Emma, on commentary you were probably a bit frustrated at times that Ireland couldn't get her involved enough.
Yeah, I think, well, I'm hoping that even though we're saying it's a back 5, it's actually a back 3 with wing backs, and it allows Katie and Anya to push forward, but more so Katie. And we were talking about that against Sweden because there was so much emphasis on there being a back 5 and having wing backs when we didn't. We had flat back 5. There was no wing backs about it. They were staying back there. There was no pushing on. And, you know, Katie plays that position for Arsenal sometimes. She does it so well. We want to see her higher up the pitch. We want to see more possession, which I think we will see, which enables her to push up higher. Absolutely does. And, of course, with Savannah back there as well, supporting her, I think we will see her a little bit higher. And also, we want to see Lucy Quinn a little bit higher because, again, she was pushing back a little bit against Sweden when actually she should be like one of the 2 up front.
Is it even though it's the same selection, then are we talking about a more adventurous Ireland almost, or in some ways in that, like, yes, it's the same team, but a lesser quality of opposition, where you a bit more of a room to go for it here?
Yeah, I mean, it's a flexible formation. You know, you can, like Emma was saying, we can push up the wing backs. You know, you have that midfield cover if you need it then, and you can push into more of a 3. Then you can have kind of either a 5 across the middle, and then you can have the 2 up front, or we can push up one of the central midfielders as well, alongside Lucy Quinn, and then up to Heather. So there's a lot of flexibility there. We might see Lucy Quinn going out to the wing, we might see Heather going out, we might see a little bit of switching there as well. But I think, we do want to get on the ball. We want to get our ball players, like Katie McCabe, we want to get her up creating. We want to get kind of Denise further up the pitch if we can as well, getting those passes in and getting Heather some support. I think some of the games, she takes a lot on her back and a lot of responsibility, and sometimes she's up there on her own. So it'll be great if we can just push everyone up there, give her that support and make more chances.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're Slovakia tonight and you're planning for this game, Katie McCabe is your #1 target here, right? So I just wonder about what you're talking about and trying to get her high up the pitch. I'm sure that's what they're thinking, and their coach was very bullish, by the way. I'm sure you saw the quotes during the week from the press conference, and we've come here to get points. We're not here to whatever the opposite of the Conor McGregor expression was. Come here to get the points out of the match. But I'm sure if you're planning for it, your Katie McCabe is target #1. I wonder, is there anything that, anyway, from Vera Pauw's point of view, what can she do to differently utilise Katie, or is it just full trust they know what we're going to do, but you're too good
Well,
for
you
that.
have to. The manager has to be able to adapt as well when it's in play, because Slovakia have been known to play a 4-3-3 as well and push 3 up. If they push 3 up, you're going to have to pull someone back. It can't be a back 3. You can't play 1v1. So I imagine they're going to pull Anya back if that's the case and allow Katie to go forward. What you don't want to see is what happened in Sweden, that if they play 3 up, that we end up keeping the fullbacks back. You don't want to see that. You can let one of them go. And we didn't see that adaptation against Sweden, which I think we should have, because, at the end of the day, it's 11v11. And why do we have 5 back there marking 3, or in Sweden's case, 1? So I hope that, we can adapt to that. We have to adapt to Slovakia. I don't think they're going to come out guns blazing. I think that would be silly from them. But they do like to play. They like to counter-attack. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how the two managers adapt.
The best way of describing Slovakia is probably they're not good enough to qualify for a major tournament, but they're good enough to probably decide who will qualify, in that they will take points off somebody at some stage during this. You just really got to hope that it's not you. Just on Katie McCabe, I was at the press conference yesterday with Vera Pauw and asking her about her best position and how you best utilise her. And obviously she's playing out on the left-hand side for Arsenal, but Arsenal is an 11 that is stacked, full of superstars.
Yeah.
And she could be very effective in that role. Like, I think of David Alaba when he was with Bayern Munich and Austria, and maybe it's too obvious an example where he played left-back for Bayern Munich because, again, starts of the team. But at Austria, he played in the middle of midfield where they needed him. Can Ireland do that with Katie McCabe? Are they wasting her out on the left-hand side, that if they don't get control of a game, she can end up being a peripheral figure? And could she actually take a role in the middle of midfield alongside Denise O'Sullivan? Suddenly, if you're 2 best players in the heart of the action all the time.
Absolutely. Personally, I do think she's a waste at left-back, particularly for Ireland. And I don't want to say that, but it's true, because she is pinned back and we don't keep the ball well enough to release her. When we talk about fullbacks, the likes of Barca, for example, they've played a 5 at the back, but they've never played a 5 at the back, really, have they? It's like the fullbacks just go. Katie is so good further up the pitch. She's a good defender. She's a good left back, but she's a world-class winger. Or even number 9 she can play, or in midfield. So for me, I do think she's a bit of a waste. And now that we have Savannah McCarthy back, a natural left-foot defender, I don't think we need Katie back there. I think we need to push her higher up the pitch. In fact, I know we do, 100%.
Yeah, and like you're saying, like, it's not just up and left side of midfield. Katie can play further up. She can play centrally. She can play kind of up as a central striker or in behind as well. So she's very creative and she can make things happen. And when you're looking to dominate teams and to get on top and to score goals, she's someone who we've nobody else like her, really. I mean, we've different players have different strengths. Denise is an excellent midfield player. She's world class as well. But Katie is a different type of player, and when before she went over, to Arsenal, she was probably a centre forward in here, in Ireland, and she had that attacking instinct she's had since a very young age. So if we could utilise that and get the best out of her, but I mean, Katie, she's such a leader for the team, and she'll go where she's needed and where the manager wants her as well. But
she will, but at the same time, she obviously made it known.
She will.
She'll knock on her door for sure.
She will.
But also, what happens is if for example, if I was playing against Ireland and I seen Kate McCabe playing left back, I would be so happy because it just invites players on. They don't have to worry about keeping their defensive roles because she's sticking back. If you play her higher up, the first thing you think about is keeping somebody to cover her, and straight away that keeps pressure off you. It takes a little bit of pressure off your defensive line.
So what you're saying is that, like, particularly over the first half hour here, we're going to get a good insight into the ambition of the management team, depending on where Katie McCabe plays, right? Because we expect that we're a better team than them.
Absolutely, and if Katie's playing left back and if she's staying deep as the back 3 or the rest of the back 4, I think questions need to be asked, to be quite honest, because we're playing against Slovakia. They're ranked 12 places lower than us, and we should be going for these teams and attacking them, and you can't play 5 at the back with that mindset.
Vera Pauw seemed to suggest that to get the best out of Katie McCabe in attacking position, that it was down to the players around her, and that she felt that they were going in confidence, whether it was Savannah McCarthy or Megan Connolly, that they were starting to get a bit more control in games, which should allow Katie a bit more confidence to get forward, that maybe Katie, I shouldn't use the word trust, but maybe Katie didn't fully trust those around her, so had to stay back. But
no, absolutely. And if we can keep the ball, that's a massive thing for us. It's always been a massive thing for us. And midfield, for me, are a real key unit in our team. And if they can keep the ball, we have the players to keep the ball. We have to give them the confidence, and we have to try and push them up the pitch a little bit, because they're literally sitting on the back toes. If we can get them to keep the ball and be confident, then of course that's going to allow both wingers to go higher up the pitch and be confident in going higher up.
Is she fully fit?
Yeah, she's fine. She's absolutely
There was a pause there, wasn't there?
She wasn't fully fit against Sweden.
Right.
No, she wasn't.
Carrying, was she?
She was a little bit sick.
Right.
Yeah, so she wasn't 100% going into that game, and she still was our best player. So
she picked up a bit of a foot knock last weekend, and everybody's very happy that she's
that's mind game. Don't worry about that.
What taking her out of the team, is it a 50-50 game, do you think, if Katie McCabe doesn't play in this game? Like, just to get a bit of a sense of exactly where these two teams are at.
I don't think so. I think we have a number of very strong players now. You look at players like I mentioned, Denise O'Sullivan, she's playing with one of the top teams in the state. She's playing against world-class players each week, and she's winning their team's player of the year on a couple of years in a row. So she's a fantastic player. The rest of the girls, I think that the standard kind of overall has just gone up a level. We've players playing regularly in the WSL. We've players like Denise over abroad. We've got a really strong team. So I think, before we might have had one or two players where if they were not going to be there, you'd be worried. And Katie obviously is a very strong player, and it's a big relief that she's there. But I think we have the players to cope without her, especially if we want to be pushing on and we want to be qualifying for tournaments, you can't be dependent on one or two players. You have to be able to cope without them, and that's what the best teams can do. They might be missing their one or two best players, but they just have people to slot back in. So I think we should have the strength now to cope.
All right, we're going to take a breather there to send Nathan back outside.
I'm not leaving because I'm worried Emma won't come out. It's so cold. It's lovely and cosy in here. You've got the red wine in the corner, your own private little corporate box up here.
Yeah.
The usual Adrian Barry
I hear where
experience.
you're coming from. But at the same time, get out. And thanks a million for coming in with the team news. That's Nathan. We're here. It's 6:20 this Thursday evening, and it's crisp and it's cold, and it's 40 minutes from kickoff here between the Republic of Ireland and Slovakia in this World Cup qualifier. And we're here with thanks to Sky, who are a proud primary partner and supporter of the Republic of Ireland women's national football team. We've lots still to come. We're going to put Emma and Dora on the spot in a few minutes' time. We'll get their match predictions, and the blanket still hasn't turned up yet, so we'll see if somebody between now and then can fulfil us on that. But before all of that, Nathan's also been in camp this week, speaking with Jamie Finn.
Yeah, I think, as you said previous, we need to go into every game that we can beat these teams and get the 3 points. And no disrespect to any opponent we play against, I think you have to go into every single game with a positive attitude, and that you're going to come away, you're going to perform well as a team, as a unit, and get the 3 points. And I think that the Finland game away was brilliant, and what a result away from home. And I think we need to bring that into this camp now. All the positives that was in that game, and really drive forward.
Yeah, that was Nathan in conversation with Jamie Finn at camp during the week. And the teams are in. If you've just joined us, you're welcome along. We're here at Tallaght Stadium. We're in the company of Dora Gorman and Emma Byrne ahead of the 7 o'clock kickoff in this World Cup qualifier, the Republic of Ireland against Slovakia. And one of the other things that we have to talk about, Emma, is obviously the new introduction to the squad during the week. And I did wonder that if you were in that position in goal for Ireland at the minute, we had a great conversation about the last time you were here, and you were saying Grace Maloney was your number one. I wonder, Penny, for her thoughts this week. But Megan Walsh of Brighton is introduced. That's a really hard dynamic to manage, isn't it? They've given Brosnan the nod over the last few games, and then you have Grace Maloney sitting out there. It's a tough, in terms of the people management of that piece, that's tough.
I mean, yeah, it is, but it's a national team. It's you're playing for your country. You have to have the best players, and I've already spoken about Courtney Brosnan, and for me, I think she's done really well. Don't get me wrong, she's done really well, and she particularly against Sweden, and I was happy I was proved wrong the last game. But at the end of the day, she's not playing for her club. She's not playing for Everton. She hasn't played in a month. Her last game was here with, in Finland with Ireland. And that's just not, it's not ideal, it's particularly when it's your goalkeeper. I know I'm a little bit biased, but you can train and train and train. When it comes to a game, it's completely different. You need game practice to make your mistakes, to get your judgment right. So for a goalkeeper to come in and play an international game who hasn't played in 4 weeks, for me, it just doesn't seem right. But the good news is that Megan Walsh has declared herself Irish. She's a really top goalkeeper. Everybody's talking about her in the UK. She's holding records for the most amount of saves. And, I've watched her play a lot of times now, and she's very, very secure. She's an all-rounder. She's really good reflex saves. She's good in the air. She commands her area. She's good with her feet. And, it is difficult for Grace because she's been knocking on the door since I was there, and it is difficult for her because she has been performing for her club. But that's what happens. A manager goes with a player, whether it's outfield or goalkeeper, particularly goalkeeper. And Vera obviously likes Courtney, and she trusts her, and it looks like she's sticking with her.
Megan Walsh must obviously feel, she's a former England underage international, she must obviously feel as if she's got a really good shot at getting the #1 jersey here.
I think so. I mean, as I said before, she's performing really well, and if she's competing against a goalkeeper that's not getting her game for her club, then she has a right to knock on the manager's door. And the same with Grace, which I'm sure Grace has already had that conversation. But Megan Walsh brings something a little bit different. She is top-class goalkeeper. England want her. She was in the Olympic squad, and she's chosen to come for us. So, I think it's nothing but good news.
I'm going to ask you that question now again that I asked you when we were there before. What's your order now of outside of the context of tonight's game, because obviously, you got to go with Courtney Brosnan because she's been in there for the last couple of games. But outside of that, what's your general depth chart of that?
Well, I definitely think Megan is #1 and will be #1 after Christmas. At the moment, the way things stand, I would probably have Courtney #2 because she's done really well, and I think she's been very, very steady. And then Grace #3, but I'd be having a conversation with Courtney Brosnan and telling her that if she doesn't get another club, like in the window in January, she won't be in the squad because a goalkeeper has to play.
Yeah. We've only about 5 or 6 minutes to go here, but I did want to make mention as well. I saw the FAI tweet that came out that had the list of caps that some of the more experienced players in this squad, and it's mind-boggling. And none less so than Anya O'Gorman, 15 years, beautiful piece that Sky produced during the week with herself and her family, and about what all this means to her. I remember doing an interview with her in Norway actually about 4 or 5 years ago, and she was on the brink, I think, of retiring at that stage, and we thought she was gone into the sort of great blue yonder, which wasn't to be, Dora. But the service that she's given, and like a different player obviously than the player that's on the opposite side of her tonight, but the service she's given for her country, the quality she brings to that position as well.
Yeah, I mean, Anya's just phenomenal. I mean, she's just a fantastic role model for everyone, for young girls coming into the game, for everyone involved. And I play with her at club, and she's just a fantastic professional in an amateur environment. Really, she doesn't leave any stone unturned, and she even throughout the year she plays kind of more forward for us, on the wing and up front. She's top goal scorer in the league or so. Okay. So she can play anywhere and she'll do a job for you. But she's just, I think she should get all the plaudits that she deserves, and I think we do need to congratulate her, because she's just fantastic, and she's still she's still as fit and as sharp and as she's still going. She's just fantastic.
And she's a great character as well.
Amazing.
Fantastic person.
Yeah.
A real leader of that team, is she? Or is it sort of a quiet leadership almost?
I've told her before, she's just an amazing person to have around the group. And and we used to get free gym classes with her when we were on trips, and you'd always have a lot of downtime. And I remember, okay, I'm not going to say who the manager was, but we had gathered in a room, and we were doing our core work. We were doing like a couple of hours of training with Anya, and of course Anya's Miss Motivator up there with the music and everything. You'd be afraid not to do it with Anya. And the manager came in and went a little bit crazy because we were supposed to be relaxing.
Okay.
So we weren't allowed to do it after that.
That might have been right when you're having your downtime. This is how you choose to relax, by doing more exercise.
Oh,
Right, we're not far off kick-off here at the Tallaght Stadium, and we were just chatting a bit before we came there at the start about Ireland's record against Slovakia.
Yeah.
The record looks
Yeah.
amazing, but the reality is that they've pushed Ireland on more than one occasion.
Yeah, I mean, like we were saying, there's been five meetings, 5 wins for Ireland, but that doesn't tell the whole story. You know, there's been close games. There's been, you know, last minute goals by Ireland. There's been 2-1, 1-0, 2-0. You know, nothing. There's not been any walkovers. And I think if you look at Slovakia, even their recent record in the last couple of qualifying campaigns, I think the last World Cup qualifying campaign, they finished bottom of their group. Then in the last Euros, they were third. And even just looking at their results, I mean, in the last qualifying campaign, they lost 6-0 and 7-0 to Sweden. That's been 1-0 in this group. So they're definitely on a trajectory that results-wise anyway, that looks like an improvement and in their play. So, you know, we can't take them for granted. We have to go into this game with as much intensity that we would any other game. But, you know, the reality is it's a game that we should be winning, and anything less than that would be a disappointment. So I think, you know, Ireland, I think I saw a stat as well. This will be the away team who's played here the most often. I think they've been here 4 times. This will be their 4th time, something like that. So I think they know Tallaght as well. So I think, you know, it's a game we need to win. We can't take them for granted. We can't. They'll really put up a fight. They're able to play. But if we want to be qualifying, we need to be winning these games.
Your predictions for the next, what are we 6 points in the bag now over the next week or so, Emma?
Absolutely. I think tonight we really find it difficult to break this team down. The last time we played them, we didn't score until the 78th minute or something like that. So hopefully we'll see an early goal, and that will kind of open the floodgates. So I'm going to say 4-0.
4-0.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's a game worth tuning in for. Dora, did you share that confidence?
I'll be a little bit more conservative. I'd probably say 2-0, I think. I mean, we should have more possession, but I think we should have a clean sheet. I think that's important as well. And I think 2-0 is what I'm going to go for.
Listen, any of that, we'll take it. That's a good note to leave it on. Thanks a million, Emma, again, as always. Dora, thanks a million for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Been a real pleasure chatting with you over the course of the last hour or so. We have live full commentary of the game coming up, by the way, and Off the Ball and News Talk from 7 o'clock. Emma's going to be out alongside Nathan in the commentary box, and the blanket still hasn't turned up. But listen, if there's anybody coming over the next half hour, drop it off to us here. Team, from an Irish point of view, in case you just joined us, unchanged from the previous 2 matches, expecting slightly different change of shape tonight, but otherwise we're going to win somewhere between 2-0 and 4-0, and that's going to be the outcome by around 9 p.m. this evening. We've been here with Sky, who are proud primary partner and supporter of the Republic of Ireland women's national football team. Full commentary and Off the Ball from 7, but from us, from here for the minute, good night.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Sky. Come on, you girls in green. Good luck to the Ireland women's football team in their upcoming World Cup qualifiers.